What I want to illustrate now is a font sizing strategy that uses relative values like EMs and percentages, but allows you to conceptualize those font sizes in absolute terms like pixels. We're going to do that by setting a base, our base font to 62.5% and then defining everything in M's from there. You're probably thinking, well, where does 62.5% come in? I mean, did you just pick that number out of a hat? Well, no. This technique kind of starts off with the assumption that most people have not messed with their default values in their browser, at least with regards to their font sizing, which is, I don't think ever in my life I've messed around with the font sizing of this, and I would generally assume that most people out there don't either. So if most modern browsers are setting the default font size to 16 pixels, then if we were to use relative values like 100%, that means that a font would be 16 pixels. 1 M would equal 16 pixels. 2 EMs would equal 36 pixels. Now, it kind of makes things difficult to conceptualize. I mean, it would be a lot easier if we could just use solid numbers like I want a 12 pixel font, I want a 14 pixel font, and so on. Well, we can do that while still using EMs. We do that by that magic number, 62.5%. Now, what is 62.5%? Well, if you convert, okay, I'm going to do a little math warning over here. I'm going to get into it. You don't have to remember the math. This is an explanation because the actual doing it is very simple. If we convert 62.5% into a decimal, that's going to be 0.625. So what is 62.5% of 16 pixels? Well, we would do that by multiplying the percentage to the pixel size, right? Like, what's 50% of $100? You multiply 50 or 0.5 times 100, and that equals 50. So we would multiply 6.25, that's 62.5%, times 16 pixels. That equals 10 pixels. So that means that by doing that, 1 EM equals 10 pixels. Now that we have a base 10 system, it's a lot easier to work with. Okay, enough of that. I'm sure that kind of made sense. So let's just actually get into it and see how it works. Well, the first trick here is to set an HTML value in your CSS of font size 100%. Now this is saying anything on the document that's a font, set it back up to what should be 100%. This is kind of like a reset. So we're making sure that if people zoomed in and out or changed something, as soon as they get to your page, it's back at 100%, and 100% with a default font size of 16 pixels is what? 16 pixel font. Now let's make that default value a base 10 system. So let's change that 16 point font to a 10 point font. Not that that's where we're going to keep the page at, but we're just setting a value for ourselves. The next value I would put is body equals, and we're going to do font size again, and this time we're going to set that to 62.5%. Boom. So if all this math is throwing you off, not to worry. The only thing you really need to worry about in your day-to-day working is remembering to put these two in there. HTML size, font size equals 100%, body 62.5%. Now we have our paragraph text as 10 points. So let's make sure we have that. I'm gonna, oops, did I save this? No, let me save my CSS doc. I'm going to refresh this. Now I'm going to measure this font size here. I use this plugin in Firefox called Measure It, and it's right down here. If you just Google Measure It and then Firefox, the first hit is going to be Measure It plugin. right here, and you could just install this in Firefox, and I'm going to show you right now how to use it. So I want to measure, let's see, I'm going to zoom in on this. It still works even zoomed in. I want to measure, let me see, let me find an ascender and a descender on my paragraph text. Okay, so I have the N over here, and I got the P down here that I could measure. I'm going to click on measure it, and now I'm going to see what the value from the top of the N to the bottom of the P is. And it is, well, it is 12. Why is that? Well, I'm pretty sure that's because Firefox won't allow you to go below 12 pixels. I think they just think it's obnoxious. So, well, whatever. I know, let's see, if we measure that value in Internet Explorer, yeah, you see, they let you get real small. Actually, yeah, so I didn't even define anything yet. Whatever. It's just know that there is a minimum value, and it just dawned on me now that I don't think you could go, a lot of browsers besides Internet Explorer just don't let you go too small. But I'm going to prove to you that this works anyway. We'll do P, and now we're going to do this EM. Font size is going to equal, let's do 1.8 EM. So what should happen now is this should be 18 pixels. So if we use this measure it tool and I refresh this, now it's much bigger. Let's find that, okay, in the NQ over here, let's see if this is indeed 18 pixels. Since my last example didn't work. Yep, look at that. 18 pixels. Okay, are we sure this is working, or is this just some kind of voodoo? Well, let me set it up to, why don't we do 3.6 pixels? So that should be 36 pixels. Oh, here we go. Let me use the measure it. Let me see, where was that? Find something. Yeah, here, I'll measure right here from the top of this S. .36 or 35, but I think I'm a little close to a little too high on that S over there. But there we go. So it does work. But you notice how it's just not going to let me go too much smaller. So just doing 1 EM, that's already saying it's too small. It's not going to do it, right? It's going to obviously Firefox's default minimum value is 12. The other ones probably have it even smaller. I'm sorry, the other ones like Safari doesn't allow you to go too small either. Let's just see. Yeah, Safari's not going to let you go too small, but obviously they'll let you at least go down to 10. So let's recap what we did here, and I'll do one more. I set the HTML value, the font size, to 100%. That's a reset. That's a font reset. It's saying set everything up to 100% of your value, and we're thinking that that 100% is 16 pixels. The next thing we went is down to the body, where we wanted to set ourselves a 10-base system for our EMs. So we set the font size to 62.5% so that when we go and size the other elements on our page, we could use the EMs thinking that 1 EM equals 10, 1.1 EMs equals 11 pixels, 1.2 EMs is 12 pixels, and so on.